Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala.
All right, 25 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Friday morning. I don't know if this is even worth saying, but have you ever wondered about reincarnation? And I know some people just reject the idea that it's possible, and they'll cite religious reasons for not believing in it. And the truth is, I don't know, and I have no way of knowing. But I've often thought that if there is reincarnation, in other words, if that newborn baby that is in the family was just a few years ago an old guy somewhere else or something like that, then you would hope that as we go from one life to the next, we would take with us the things we learned. But obviously we don't take language with us because we have to relearn whatever language we are born into. Obviously we don't learn math skills or how to play a piano. Although you've heard stories about people who are like not infant, what do you call prodigies, but child prodigies.
Yes. So
maybe they are. I don't know. But what about the deeper things, the things that aren't considered knowledge but are considered wisdom? The things like being kind. The things like being generous and being and having gratitude. Those things. I've often wondered if maybe those are the things that are really important. Knowing how to count, knowing how to play a piano, knowing how to fix a car, knowing how to speak a language. Those are just kind of rudimentary things to help you get along. Maybe it's really, this whole life is really about learning how to be good and ultimately how to love. Maybe love is, as everybody says, where it all begins and where it all ends. I hit the jackpot yesterday, Robin.
Yes, you did.
I was reading an article on Joan Porte, and then I found a place that I could call her from, and I don't want to give that away because it's my little secret.
That's right.
But she is described as an astrological maven, and she's got some amazing stuff to talk about, including your soul's bucket list.
Yeah.
Things that you should do for your soul. And she's got a cookbook.
Yep.
The Signs of the Times, and I'm not mispronouncing that, the ultimate astrological cookbook. So there's so much we can talk about, and it is a food time of year, plus it's a metaphysical time of year, right?
I love that, yes.
Because you think about the whole story of Jesus and all that. Joan Porte, good morning, Joan.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm good. I'm so happy to talk to you today. Where are you right now?
I'm in Northern Virginia, where it is cold and raining and dark. So it's very spooky, very metaphysical.
Very metaphysical. See, right here, it's a little bit overcast, but this is Florida, so it's not going to be bad for long. I just told you that to rub it in.
Oh, that's all right. I like the cold. In fact, I have a warm spot in my heart for Ocala, because when I was a kid, my parents had a house in Hollywood, Florida, and we would drive from northern New Jersey, and the second night we would always eat in an Italian restaurant. I have no idea what the name was. This was like 1963 in Ocala, and that was the first time I saw wine bottles with candles, melted candles, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
That has got to be Lorito's.
It has to.
Does that sound familiar? Does that name sound familiar, Lorito's?
Could be. I was a little kid.
Just a little kid. Oh, wow.
Yeah, because they did have the wine bottles with the
That is a cool memory. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's still a great restaurant, by the way. Still beautiful. So tell me about your story. Are you an astrologer? Is that fair to say? Is that the right thing to say, I should say?
Yeah. I'm a karmic or evolutionary is the new trendy term, astrologer.
And what does that mean?
Well, everybody has to specialize these days. So you have some astrologers who do, questions like, where should I move? You have some astrologers who do, what's my health? There's medical astrology. I do the sort of following, like you were saying, of the evolution of the soul. So, yeah, we are believers in the idea of an immortal soul, a continuing soul that does come back to sort of learn the lessons. So we're tracing the evolution of that soul.
So can I share something with you? And if this takes us off the track that we should be on, I apologize, but we do have you for kind of a long time today, so I think we'll be able to get back on track with no problem. I've been thinking lately about this. that when people say you should believe in Jesus, I think we don't understand what it means to believe. I think if a person has laid out for us the groundwork for being a good person, which is to live by the golden rule, to always be more giving than you are receiving, and all those things, all the good things that Jesus taught. If we believed as he believed, rather than believe in him, believe as he believed, and live as he lived, that by the example, that doesn't, I mean, there's no religion really associated with that. That's just simply making sense to me. That you would want to live the good life, and maybe that's what he was trying to tell us, as far as progressing as humans, which is ultimately where we would find heaven if we were perfected in some way.
You know, I sort of am not by any means a scholar, but I am a student of comparative religions. I was raised northern New Jersey, Italian family, so yes, I was raised Catholic, and but I'm fascinated with the study. So when you read Buddhism, well, what did Buddha say? He said the same exact thing Jesus said. Muhammad said the same exact thing. They all have, and if you read, what's her name, Karen Armstrong, she writes about the axial age when all these leaders came to Earth. They all have the same message. I mean, if you look at Native American, nature-based, with Indian or Native American religions, what do they say? You respect the Great Spirit, you respect the land, you honor yourself, you honor, the people around you, you love, and every single major religion from the beginning of time pretty much has said the same thing. So, yeah, it's just how you say it, and, a lot of it is where it's said. If your culture comes from this part of the world and you live in the mountains, you're going to have a great mountain father spirit, but the energy is all there. All of these people were tapped into the knowledge, what you do. Be nice to people, you learn to love, you learn to accept, and that's how you, like you said, live the good life.
Joan, we had an author on, and he was a rabbi. And he was also a psychic or something. I don't know what title to give him, but he could see past lives in people. And he said people were coming to him, and he didn't really advertise that he could do that. He had people coming to him, asking him if they could perhaps talk to him, because they felt like they had been Jewish in a past life, and they don't understand why they were having those dreams, etc. And so he did, I guess, similar to what you do, and was able to look back in their past lives. And guess what? They died in the Holocaust, and they decided, look, I'm not going to be born Jewish again. That wasn't a good experience. Mm-hmm. Have you ever, isn't that I don't know if that's true or not, but I mean, we took him for his word.
Yes.
Well, I tell you, I always was interested in astrology. From the time I was a little kid, it was like something that was fascinating, and I sort of played around with it, and then of course you go to college and you have to become a big person, but there was always a piece that, as fascinated as I was with it, didn't fit. And then I went to hear this guy who actually became one of my best teachers. I mean, I took his classes, and he started talking about Pluto. He started talking about the past lives and the South Node, and I was like, that's the piece. Because I looked at my chart, like I was one of these little kids that was always moving around, always nervous, always talking and, a mile a minute, and could get up and speak in front of people. But nowhere in my chart could I see that. So I would go, well, there's something wrong. I love this stuff, but there's something wrong. Realized that I was a Gemini in a past life, right? Gemini's a communicator, they're high strung, and I was getting this from my past life.
Oh, wow.
Piece fit, So to me, it was a big aha moment.
When you put a puzzle together and you get the two pieces that are supposed to go together, it fits perfectly. And I've often thought that our lives are like that. From the time we're born till the time, we're adults, I guess, we're looking for that thing to plug ourselves into, the career, the lifestyle, whatever it is, And there are so many people who, for example, want to be, famous singers, and that just never happens for them. And then they find something else and click, just like the puzzle piece, something else clicks. I often thought, if we knew in advance what we're supposed to pursue, rather than pursuing something because it looks glamorous, that we would save ourselves a lot of heartache. Can you do that?
Yeah.
I mean, can you show somebody what they're supposed to be doing?
Well, I never say you have to do this, but I will say, and I'll give you a good example. I just did a chart for someone who is a voice coach. You said singer. It triggered my brain here. And I said, I looked and saw that in a previous life, he was someone who was a great artist. Now, I don't have the ability to do past life regressions. I've never studied it. I do know people, but I can't tell you were this person this time, but I know that from the energy in his chart that this person was a great artist in the spotlight, someone who used his talent, blah, blah, blah. And I said, in this time around, you're looking to go back there because we always want to repeat. We always want to go back to our comfort zone. I said, but that's not your mission in this life. I said, in this life, it's to take your lessons and teach. You're doing the right thing. And he was practically in tears because he said, this is what I love doing, but I always felt I was a failure because I wasn't on stage, that I was, quote unquote, just a teacher. And I said, no, first of all, there's no such thing as just a teacher. And second of all, this is what you're meant to do this time around. Don't keep looking for the stage. Don't listen to those people who say that, because this is what you're meant to do. And it was a great reading, because he was like, but you don't know.
In his case, you helped him find the puzzle piece that clicked, or maybe you helped reaffirm that is where he should be. He probably knew it clicked already, but you just confirmed it for him.
Right, and he had this guilt, because people say, oh, you have a beautiful voice, you should be on stage. Why are you wasting your time teaching? And he had this guilt issue.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow. Joan Porte is our guest right now. Joan what does it mean, maven? An astrological maven. What does that mean?
I don't know. That's just somebody thought that was.
Oh, somebody else put that there. Okay. Now tell me about.
I'm going to steal it. I like it.
So tell me about the cookbook. It's called Signs of the Times, which is a very, very cool title, considering it's a cookbook. So how long has this been out, and what does it tell us?
It's been out just about a year, and it came about because, being Italian, this is going to shock you, but I love to cook and eat. We don't do that. and I'm always having friends over, and a friend of mine, just very off the chart, said to me, why don't you do a cookbook? You do astrology. You love to cook. And I'm like, never thought of that. And I looked, and there aren't any out there like this. There's cookbooks like, cook with astrology to find your soulmate, or, the cook for your Leo husband.
Right.
But there's nothing out there that just says, this is a cookbook, and it's based on astrological signs, and go have fun with it.
Oh, really? I've so many questions about this. Joan Porte is our guest. We need to take a little break, Joan, for the weather, etc., but we'll be right back. Joan is an astrologer and a writer and a cookbook author and a maven. So we'll get to know Joan a little bit more when we come back. This is WOCA.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accidents. A mix of sun and clouds today with a brief shower or two, mainly near the coast, the high 76 to 80. And partly cloudy and mild tonight, though 60 to 64. For tomorrow, intervals of clouds and sun. Watch out for an afternoon shower, though, the high 77 to 81. And for Sunday, sunny to partly cloudy. Just a slight chance of a shower near the coast, the high 71 to 75. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
This weather brought to you by Florida Thoroughbred Breeders and Owners Association, FTBOA.
Did you know that thoroughbred horses annually contribute $1 billion to the Sunshine State's economy and employ over 12,000 people, more than even baseball spring training? To learn more about the horse capital of the world, or to join the membership of the FTBOA, the Florida Thoroughbred Breeders and Owners Association, please check out ftboa.com.
All right, just about 11 minutes now before 10 o'clock. Joan Porte is on the phone, and she's an astrologer. She's an evolutionary astrologer, so I'm going to ask her to remind us again what that actually means. And she's got a cookbook. It's the ultimate astrological cookbook called Signs of the Times, TINES, E-S, N as in Nancy. That's why, because if you couldn't quite understand why I was thinking it was such a cool title, maybe now you got it, now that I spelled it for you. Joan, I have a question for you about the cookbook.
Yes.
Okay, here's the question. If you are alone, then you can make what's in the cookbook based on your astrological sign. But if you're with a family, 2 or more people, everybody else has a different sign. Do you have to make a different meal for everybody?
Well, I actually have people do astrological dinner parties or astrological potlucks, which are kind of fun. So, and again, sun sign is really all not that important. If you ever go to an astrologer and they go on and on and on about your sun sign, run away, because they're not a good astrologer. A good astrologer is going to look at your rising sign, going to look at your past lives, if they do past lives, but they're still going to look at your south node for personality, even if they don't do past life things. They're going to look at the moon sign. They're going to look at your sun sign like maybe 5th or 6th down the list. That's a little tip for anybody hunting for a good astrologer. But anyway, so if you just know your sun sign, you can have everybody make a dish for their sun sign, but not say who brought what. So then you table and say, all right, I think you're a Leo, you brought that. You don't sort of do that. So I've had people do that with the cookbook. Or have the dinner party, make a dish for everybody, everybody's sign. And so people have had a lot of fun with it.
Oh, I can see that. You can have a whole party around that. Do you remember the song by Chris Christopherson, Jesus Was a Capricorn? Remember that song?
Actually, I don't.
No?
But I never did like stuff.
Well, anyway, I've often thought that, well, maybe we should have a Capricorn party on Christmas or something like that. I don't know.
So people are so fascinated by astrology, and 2 of the main topics they just seem to gravitate toward is love and money. Are those 2 topics that you really shouldn't gravitate toward, that there's more important things than money and love?
Well, I'm a fan of money, frankly, but yes, I don't think people like, doing that. And actually, I put a section in there for each sign to a person's health. So, for instance, speaking of Capricorns, they tend to be the workers. They're always, nose to the grindstone, always worried about saving that money. That's their thing, doing the right thing. And so I said, if you want to do something for the health of your Capricorn, have some fun. And I have an indoor picnic because it is a winter, we're almost in the season of Capricorn, and a lot of places you can't go outside. So, make some popcorn, put a rug, a blanket on the rug, and have a picnic, because Capricorns need to have fun. And so I did a section on the health of each sign.
Sounds like a Cyndi Lauper song. Capricorns want to have fun. Right?
When people come to you to do their chart readings, how do you do that? Do you start from their birth till present, or do you just go from now till the future?
Normally, I will do, unless the person has said, look, I've had a comprehensive chart done a while ago, I still want to do, my own look. So, yeah, the first time I will do your birth chart. What was going on in the sky the second you were born? And what kind of energies did you come in with? What does this mean to you? Now, in fact, this afternoon and tomorrow, I will be doing tons of charts, because this is the time of year everybody wants to chart for 2015. So my clients who have already done, the birth chart will say, okay, what's coming up in 2015? And I never say, this year you will meet the tall, dark, and handsome man, or you will win $1 million. But I'll say, look, so-and-so is going through this house. This is the energy that you're going to have to be aware of. This is a good time, to do this. This is not a good time to do that. So, I just read the energies coming up in 15, and it'll help them make some decisions.
When an artist does a painting, or a musician or a songwriter writes a song, a composer, there's a certain amount of science to both of those things, and then there's a certain amount of intuition, just understanding somehow intuitively that you need this color there or that note here, whatever it is. Does that apply here too? In other words, when you're doing somebody's astrological reading or chart, it sounds like there's a science to it, but I'm guessing just from listening to you that you have some intuition that just you can't explain. Am I right?
Yes. And that's a very good question because, and it doesn't work with everybody, but I am sort of blessed with a Pisces moon. And if you know anything about Pisces, they are intuitive. They are, if anybody has a lot of psychic ability, you're going to see a lot of Pisces in their chart. So I will I freak my family out sometimes. I'm like, something bad's going to happen in so-and-so's family. I'm not a John Edwards, unfortunately. I'm not going to say tomorrow this, or be able to talk to the dead people. But I have had my mother come to me after she died. She was a Pisces. So I do have a certain amount of that. And I will look at a chart and something will jump up at me. I was doing a chart for a friend's son. And I looked at her and I said, has he come out to you yet? He was about 13. She said, no, I know he's gay, but I'm waiting for him to tell me because he's not ready yet. And it just jumped out at me. This kid was gay. I just saw it, bells and whistles on the chart. So I will see things. So I'll look at a chart long enough. I will get impressions.
Oh, really?
I'm not a quote-unquote psychic because it doesn't happen every time, but yes, there's a lot of stuff.
Joan, if somebody has, if we all have a path that we're supposed to take, what happens to the people who have done hideous crimes and then they're put into prison for the rest of their lives? It's I almost can't believe, not that I want them to have, any real life after that point, but I often wondered, are these people who are in jail for 20, 30, 40 years or the rest of their lives, are they just absolutely never going to realize the real mission they were on?
It depends. There are some people that are born with such anger and such hatred. They're pretty low down there on the evolutionary scale that they will come in and just do hideous things and not see the light, if you will. There are other people who, I sometimes think of some of the women that followed Manson. There's some women who are like in their 60s who are still in jail. I think one of them is Krenwinkel, Patricia. I might be screwing the names up, but these were these young, impressionable girls who followed this monster,
right?
And suffered for it, and now realize that I did wrong, and so you don't know the whole past, but yeah, some people are just there to be evil. I have a friend who has a theory that these people are actually fulfilling some kind of duty, so if you need to learn some horrible lesson of being murdered by someone, I'm there to do that for you. I think that's a little bit far-fetched.
Oh, wow, yeah. That's a hard one to swallow. But, who knows, Joan, I the time has gone too fast. I want to make sure our listeners can get the book and also can get a hold of you. And I know you're going to have some calls. So because the phone's been ringing here, I just have been so interested in talking to you. What is your website?
It is JoanPorte.com, JoanPorte.com.
Okay, and just for the listeners, make sure you put an E at the end of Porte, Joan Porte, Porte.com. And is the book for sale on the website as well?
The book is for sale on the website. It also has its own website, which is signsofthetimes.com, but you could find it on the website, and there's still plenty of time if people want to order it off the website. I could autograph it. You could also get it at Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com.
Can somebody get an evolutionary birth chart without being with you? Can they do it through the mail or on the email or something like that?
That's how I do 90% of it. I do very few in public. What I do is if you order one, and you could order it on JoanPorte.com, I will send you an MP3 that you could download onto whatever you can download on these days. So you have like an hour interpretation. I send you a copy of the chart. I send you a little note, so little blips like so you know that funny little thing is next
Oh,
to it.
wow. Joan, we're out of time. Thank you so much for being with us today. That was really wonderful.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Go to joanporte.com, P-O-R-T-E, joanporte.com. We'll take a little break and be right back. This is WOCA Ocala.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. It's the strongest hiring pace in almost 3 years, with a big jump in the number of new jobs in November.
321,000 jobs added to the economy last month, outpacing expectations. Job gains were widespread, led by growth in professional and business services.